Howdy folks, Todd here with Great Escape Farms. Today I'm going to talk about our lasagna garden and our sheet mulch garden, and then I'm going to give you a tour of it. So we'll take a walk in, look at all the different plants and everything else. So let's move on with the introduction to the lasagna garden slash perennial sheet mulch garden. Actually, the sheet mulch garden is right behind me, but this is our sign for the sheet mulch garden, which explains what's going on. What we did here is we used the existing footprint of what the previous owners of this property had for a garden. And when we received the property, it was basically a clay and rock overgrown mess full of weeds. So we came in and we put some rock dust down just to make sure there was enough, all of the required minerals there. Then we put layer after layer after layer of corrugated cardboard with all of the stickers and tape and staples taken out, and we wetted it inside and out, and we did multiple layers overlapping by a foot on each one, and basically we created probably an inch to 2 inches solid of corrugated cardboard wet on the ground. Then we started adding layers. So I was coming out here every weekend at the time. I was gathering up leaves that my neighbors raked up and bagged up. I just threw them in the trailer, brought them out here, spread them out. I went to a horse farm and got manure and put that on top. Found some tree trimmers that were trimming up mulch, and I put that on top. And I found some farmers that had some rotten hay and some rotten straw that were in the process of rotting, and I went and I picked that up and I put it down. Any kind of organic matter that we could come up with, we added in layer after layer, and we kept doing it over and over and over again. That's where it gets its name, lasagna garden, because it's just like lasagna. You do layer after layer after layer, and then you start repeating again. So we did that for the entire fall, and our last layer was a layer of wood chips, and we let it sit over the winter. That spring we put a couple annuals in and stuff, and they did pretty good, but that fall we started putting perennials in. So we're 1 year in from when we started this project, and we had phenomenal growth. And that was, let's see, 11 years ago now. And this is the most fertile soil on the property right now. Anything we put in here grows absolutely great, and it's just absolutely an awesome place to be. This is my wife's favorite view of the lasagna garden here, and it's just some hoops that we made with cattle panel and some T-posts, and then we grow some vines up it, and it's just really, really neat. It's absolutely a lot cooler under the hoops here than it is in the full sun with the extreme heat on some days, although we're in a cool spell right now. And let me move on in. You can see it got a little shady, and it actually is a good bit cooler here. So I am standing under an akebia vine, and you know what? I think I'm gonna turn this camera around so you get a little better view and stop staring at my ugly mug, and let's look at some plants. Okay, this is an akebia vine right here. And it is an aggressive vine, and I've had this particular one right here. This one is a Silver Bells akebia. I've had this one here for probably 10 years now, and it never fruited. It flowered a lot and beautiful smells. And then I did some research and found that it needs several to cross-pollinate, so, or more than one to cross-pollinate. So I added one down here and another one down there, and I have lots of fruit. I have maybe a half a dozen on this particular one, but the vine in the center there has 2 or 3 dozen fruit. So that one is just loaded with fruit, and can't wait to try it this year. So I will do a separate video on akebia and let you know what that one's all about. This next vine right here in between, this one is an annual, which is red Malabar spinach. And let me give you a view of it. I have a sign here, but it's got covered up by the plant. So it is an annual, and it's reseeding itself year after year. So the leaves are a little bit waxy, and it has a texture that is known as mucilaginous, mucusy, if you will, and it gets these little flowers on it here. The whole plant is edible, and back to the mucusy thing, it's kind of like the inside of okra, and some people don't like that, but I can eat it. It's very good mixed in with stuff. It's a little unpalatable just by itself. But beautiful flowers here. It's a little bit late this year because we had a cool spring, cool wet spring, and then we had a couple weeks of hot, and it really popped up. And then we got cool again. We're in the 50s here, which is very unusual for August for this particular area. I have a Turkish rocket here, and it is being decimated by some voles going after the roots. So trying to figure out what to do about that, and I'll be dealing with that at some point this year. Don't know quite what to do with voles in an organic fashion here. This thing in front of me is sea kale, and love sea kale. So and when it's cooked, has a taste of asparagus. And I just love this with a little bit of lovage, which has a celery taste to it. We'll see that a little bit later. And behind that is a hardy citrus known as Flying Dragon Trifoliate Orange. And you can see right there, it actually does have some oranges growing on it. So I had a lot more last year, but I gave it a very big trim this year, so I don't have quite as many oranges on it. But this thing has been in probably since 2017, so we're about 8 years now. A beautiful look to it. Looks evergreen, but it's really not. It has some massive thorns on it, so you can see right here by my hand, look at the thorns on that. And that is something that you don't really want to back into when you're out here weeding, and I have a couple times, so that's kind of why it's trimmed the way it was. It was a little bushier than this, but the fruit is very seedy, so it's not great for eating fresh out of hand, but it's great for making juices. And I make kombucha, and the fruit from this particular plant does a great second ferment with kombucha. Down here we have lemon balm, which tastes like lemonhead candy, and we have some garlic chives here, and I'll be coming out and cutting these flower heads off because they create very viable seed and they spread all around. And let's see, we are growing tons and tons of cucumbers on the fence right here. Well, you can see one right there. So I'm picking these things about every 3 days, and they just keep on coming. So we have a lot of lavender here that just finished flowering. We have French tarragon. We have St. John's wort hidden under a hollyhock right there. So the hollyhock is biannual, and it's finishing out its second year, so it's flowering. I'll grab some of those flower heads, the seed, and plant them next year. And we have lots of herbs in here. So we have like 3 or 4 different types of sage. We have bronze fennel, and back there is regular green fennel, and they are perennial. They come back year after year. Let's see, I see some more pepper here. So we have Scotch bonnet and habanero and various different types of peppers. So I can make up some Jamaican jerk chicken. And this is stevia right here. So supposedly, well, that says perennial zone 8. The seed package said 7. I'm more believing zone 8 because we have yet to actually get it to reseed here. This is lemon verbena, and absolutely love this. It tastes like lemon with a little bit of a pineapple flavor to it. Just a wonderful plant there. We've had the ARP rosemary that actually overwintered here and did fine. And then we have some Tulsi or holy basil here, and love munching on this. And this is an annual, but it's just the fragrance is absolutely amazing on it. Here's the other akebia vine I was talking about, and you can see up here just just fruit all over the place up here. So it turns purple, splits open when it's ready, and has a gelatinous texture around the seeds that has a tropical flavor to it. So I can't wait to get into those. This is called Oregano compactum, and it is actually a very pretty oregano compared to some of the other oreganos that I have here. Most of them, and it's looking a little spread out and unwieldy right now, but for the most part of this year, it has done absolutely fine in just staying relatively small and compact. And this particular plant right here is a favorite in my nursery. So people, if they eat it, they usually end up buying it. And it's called anise hyssop, and it attracts tons and tons of pollinators. We've got a little bee there, although I think I'm bugging him. The purple flowers attract a lot of bees, and the leaves have an anise taste to it, but it's a slight anise, but very, very sweet. The more you chew it, the sweeter it gets. And this tree, which is kind of in an umbrella shape here, is a che tree, or chi, or Chinese melonberry. It has these little balls on them right here, and they will turn red at the end of September, early part of October, and they taste like a cross between watermelon and fig, and just delicious tasting. And this and the hardy citrus that we were looking at over there, they are the last things on my property to fruit. So these will take us right up to just about Thanksgiving. And some of the leaves here, that's not the greatest one, this one's a little bit better, but some of the leaves look kind of like duck's feet. So I just find this plant very, very interesting. And down here we have horseradish. It was a very, very compact plant, stayed relatively small and kept to itself until we harvested it. As soon as we harvested it, then we sent every single root that was left in here just started popping up, and we have tons of plants now. And we've discovered that the slugs, which we have a lot of due to our ground cover here, they absolutely love horseradish. And I would figure that they wouldn't like that just with the brash flavor of it, but they do seem to love it. This is comfrey over here and is Bocking 14, which is not spreading. However, I dig it up, and every time you dig it up, again, just like the horseradish, if you leave a little bit of root, it goes crazy on you. And we have a lot of comfrey here, so I will dig up some of these. Again, I'll leave some root and they'll spread again, but this is part of what I do with the nursery. This is how I propagate, is I dig stuff up, and that's one that we spread via the root. This is rue. Here's our tag, and it's been in here for about 3 years now. Really, really like that. And this is kaleidoscope kale, and I got some kind of pest in here. Might be a slug munch on the leaves, but I need to take care of it, because if I can keep the pest away and get a good leaf growing here, it will be perennial in this zone. So I like perennial stuff. And this right here, although it looks like blueberry, it is actually known as chokeberry. So not choke cherry, but chokeberry, and it is called aronia, or Aronia melocarpa. And it's very, very astringent right now. So we are end of July, early part of August. You eat it, it's very astringent. By September, it'll get a little bit of a fruity flavor to it. And by October, it will be more fruit and very, very little astringency to it. So really like that. Bee balm. So bee balm is another edible plant, and people don't know that it's edible. I like the flower petals, which are all gone now, but you can grab the leaves themselves. People make tea out of it, but you can also just put it right in the salad, and it is very, very spicy. So if you like spicy stuff, you can go for that. And my purple sage is not looking well here, so I wonder if the vole got at that. So normally it's looking a little better than that. This is the end of the actual fennel itself. So it's flowering and it's going to die back to the ground. I'll get a little bit of regrowth down there at the bottom. And this is, I think it's a kocha. It is a annual vine. When it flowers, it has, they look like little slippers, and it's a tasty substitute for people that have issues with cucumbers. So people that burp up cucumbers and all, this particular plant, you will not burp it up. And these right here, that one fell off. So this, although it looks like a tomatillo, it is actually a ground cherry. And if we open this up, if it's yellow inside, it is edible. And this is tough with one hand. There we are. So this one is edible, and generally you wait for it to fall off, which it did. I touched it and it fell right off. And when it's yellow like this, it tastes like a cross between a cherry and a tomato. And a very, very interesting plant. You can, well, it's hiding all the lanterns underneath, but you can see another brown one in there, and that one's probably ready. And just a great little plant. In between I have, let's see, you can see back there, hopefully you can see I have a tomato that's starting to ripen. Inside of the tomato cage I have dill planted, I have basil planted, I have a regular marigold, and I have a calendula planted, and that's all part of companion planting to keep tomato hornworms and aphids and all the different predators away. So lots of different stuff there, and they just seem to do great mixed in with everything else. And this would be a different cucumber here. And this one is lovage growing and lovage flowered, and you can see it's dying back. So there's the spent flower heads up there, but as soon as that dies back up on top, it starts sending out new sprouts from down underneath. So there's always something here to eat. Looks very similar to celery, and it tastes very similar to celery, but it's very strong. So great for cooking. Any place that you would have celery, it's just awesome to have. That right there is a banana plant, so it does not produce edible fruit, but the leaves are edible, and primarily what you would use is the leaves to cook things up, like the Greeks would do with the grape leaves. So you can steam stuff in them and do stir fries and stuff like that. So that is considered an edible. And this is a Tromboncini squash, so you can see one up here. Hopefully it gets pollinated. The flower hasn't opened yet, but it's a great big long squash. And here's another one right here, and it could be multiple feet long, the squash itself. So again, that's an annual, but we put one in every year. And because of the light spring, the cool spring, we don't have that much growth on it just yet. This is called nasturtium. So nasturtium is a lovely plant, and the flower itself is actually, the whole plant is edible. The leaves are okay, but I actually like the flowers better because of the color. And the flower tastes like radish, and the stem going up is very spicy. That is like horseradish. So just a wonderful edible here, and good to put on a salad. And next up, this guy has gone crazy on me this year. So this one is called wall rocket. So before we had Turkish rocket, this one is wall rocket, and this is a substitute for arugula. And arugula is an annual, hard to grow, especially during the summer. We're in August right now, and this thing is just rocking. And it tastes nutty, exactly like arugula. After it flowers, it gets a little bit of a bitter taste, but this year, with a lot of water, I've noticed that it hasn't been that bad at all. So it's just been absolutely wonderful. We were talking earlier about the ground cherries. Well, this one actually is tomatillo, and I have a couple of them in here. Not quite ready to go yet, but we'll be making some salsa, tomatillo salsa, a little bit later on. Back behind here, we have grapevines, and I've already done my pest management for the day, but the grapevines really attract something in this area known as the spotted lanternfly, and we get a lot of them here, so I come through daily and pick those. I'll be doing a video on that a little bit later on this year, and I'll show you how we manage the spotted lanternfly here, at least during this stage. I'll do a separate video on how to manage the egg phase and everything else, but as I think they're called nymph, and the adults are out right now, and we come out daily and pick them and drown them in some soap water. Let's see, some leftover asparagus from the previous owner here, and some canna lilies. So the tubers there are edible on them. I have a red one back there, red flowered one, green leaf, and this one is a purple leaf. I think I'm not sure if it's red or orange flower on that one, but it's, again, the tuber is edible on both of them. And this is a huge basil back here as part of our companion planting for that tomato plant there. And it's doing well. Let's see, we have ground cherries, we have more bee balm here. So again, you could just pull off the petals of the flowers of the bee balm here and eat them. You can put them on salads, and they're very peppery, a very spicy flavor to them. Let's see, rhubarb here, catnip. So catnip is an edible for us. It's not only for cats, and just this rivals anise hyssop and a lot of other things as far as the pollinators and the number of pollinators and moths and stuff on it. So absolutely wonderful for different critters here. And speaking of critters, we're gonna end up with our goofy clown-faced looking guineas over here taking a dirt bath. And you look at them and they look like they're on the ground dying. Let me see if I can zoom in on them here. Doing their guinea shenanigans here. Anyhow, that's it for the tour of the perennial sheet mulch garden / lasagna garden. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful day.